Hey guys, welcome back to Blaze Red EF. Today I'm going to be putting in the boost gauge to the EF, even though it's not turbo. But yeah, today I'm going to be putting that in, so I'm going to show you everything, how to do everything, running the boost lines / vacuum lines, hooking up the auto electrics, and also mounting the gauge in the pillar. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so we've got our gauge cup, our gauge, our vacuum line. I've already put the boost T on it. Got the spare T in there just in case we need it. Shouldn't need it. And we got the adapter that came with it, but we're not going to be using this because, as you can see, that's way too small for the vacuum line that I bought, because the ones that come with it are really short, like they just don't reach. So we're just going to open up our boost gauge now. Got that open. So we're just going to pull out the gauge nice and carefully because we don't want to break it. Just like that. And there's our gauge. I've already put the adapter on it because I opened it the other day. But yeah, so as you can see, that's really small for this hose, but it fits okay on it. So just putting a zip tie on it will hold it. Just a little zip tie around it just to clamp it on, really, because we're not using the black line that come with it because it's way too short. So here's the electrical wires that we're going to use. Only 3 to hook up, which makes it really easy. As it goes, battery, light switch, and then ground. This is your bracket that come with it. So say you want to put it in your dash or something, that's what this bracket's for. So we're not going to use that either. Wiring instructions. SAAS gauges always come with wiring instructions of where to hook it up to. I've done a gauge similar to this before, hooking up a vacuum gauge in the FG. So I pretty much know what I'm doing. But yeah, so as you can see, you got from the gauge through the firewall and then onto your vacuum line or from the intake manifold, and then you got your wiring up here. So yeah, pretty simple. Yeah, and this is the vacuum line that came with it, but it's too short, so we're not going to be using it. Yeah, so that's open now. I'll just show you the tools that you're going to need to do this installation. So to start off with, you're going to need a multimeter right here. Makes it a hell of a lot easier to find all your wires, your accessory wires, and I'll walk through finding them as well in this video. So you're going to need them. You're going to need wire crimpers and your wire bits on there. So you got them. You're going to need, you might need some side cutters, pliers, and pointer nose pliers. You're going to need a flat blade screwdriver. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, and you may or may not need a small socket set. Just got it there just in case. You're also going to need, you can decide to use those ones, but I prefer to use my other wire strippers for the actual wire stripping part. I just find they work a lot better if I can find them. Yeah, so these are my other wire strippers. Now, these aren't really good for crimping because that's the only crimping spot up there. But yeah, these are really good for stripping wires. I personally like them better than those ones down there. But yeah, so it's up to you. You can use those ones if you don't have these ones. I think these were only like $15 from Super Cheap. Foldable ones, you got knives and stuff in there and everything. So yeah, so let's get into it. Some extension wires as well, just add that. So yeah, you can get extension wires from Super Cheap and stuff. This is my dad's set here. He's just got a bunch of wires everywhere, so always good helping hand. Alrighty, yeah, so what we're going to start with is we're going to pull off this kick panel down here. So to do that, you need to undo these screws in there and then pull this kick panel off here so you can get into there, and then you've got to pull out the little clips that are holding this one in and pull that out, and then you'll see all in there where all my current gauge wires run through. Phillips head, 3 screws, undo them. safe place, and so you don't lose them, and then that will just lift straight up really easily. So put that there, safe place so you don't break it. So now we can get into this kick panel here, and because I've already taken the clip out once before, I can just grab mine and then a bit of maneuvering, slide it and lift it straight out like that. It does require a bit of maneuvering just so you can get them little pins out of the holes that they sit in. But yeah, so if you have a look up in there, you can see where I've mounted my earth. So I'm going to use the same earth on my new gauge. If I remember rightly, I think I might just piggyback off all those wires that I run my other ones to. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to pull off this. Now this is only held on by clips, so it should come off pretty simply. So I'm just going to try and get my fingers in there, but it does take a bit of maneuvering to do, but we'll work it out. If you pull down this little bit of hood lining up there, you'll see there is one screw there. So we'll undo that one real quick. I should remember this from when I put in my stereo way back before I had this channel. But yeah, so pull that out, put that in there so we don't lose it. Now we should be able to, I'm not too sure if there's any other screws anywhere else. But yeah, so that comes down, so I'll just move my microphone out the way for my hands free. And that just fell all the way down. But yeah, so now it's just a matter of unclipping it from everything else. Just like that. Alrighty, and then it should come out with a bit of maneuvering down the bottom. Just try and move this gauge out of the way. I'll just put that gauge down there for now, just so I can look in here. See, I'm not too sure how that's going to come out, so we might just leave it like that, just so we can drill into it. I'll just stop recording and see if I can get it. I've worked out a way. Just get a little Phillips head driver bit, and then use some pliers to twist it, and that will come out pretty simply. Terrible place to put a screw though. Just keep unscrewing that. That's at the end of its thread, so I'll put them down so we don't lose them. And yeah, we'll try and take this out. So I'll just put the dash mat back and my heads-up display back. But yeah, so we're gonna, this gauge I've also had just taped to the pillar, but since I have the pillar down and I need to screw in the other one, I'm going to screw in this one as well. So yeah, so I'll put that in. Okay. So as you can see, it's got the two holes there. So I'm going to get my drill. I'm going to drill some holes in there and sit it up above the other gauge. But yeah, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my battery drill so I can mark out where I want to put the gauge. So I'm just going to sit the gauge inside the pod for now so I can work out how I want it to sit. Marking. So what I'm going to do is just going to hold it up, line it up with the other one, and then mark it. So all we've got to need to do is going to just mark where the front sits and where the side sits, and then we'll be able to measure out where the holes go. Marked up on there. So now I just need to measure in. It's about, as you can see, we got about, so I can see, center hole is about 2 centimeters, 200 mil, or 20 mil in. So we'll measure that up onto there, and then create a little dot. That's where my 2 holes are going to go to line up with those 2 holes, like that. And that will hold the gauge at about there. Oh, sorry, about there, just above that other one. So yeah. Alrighty, so to put this in, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bolt it in. So you can choose to screw it in, but I find it's going to be much better if we just use a washer, a nut, and a little bolt, just so we can, it's easier to take out, and it's not going to, we know it's not going to fall out. Alrighty, so we've got our bolts that fit that, just there, washers, nuts, and the bolt, and they're short enough, hopefully. So yeah, we'll head back to the car. We need to find a drill bit that is big enough to fit through these holes, but also not too small. Four and a half mil seems about right. So yeah, we'll just put this in our drill bit and drill through where we marked out our holes. So now we've got that sorted. What we're going to do now, before we put the gauge cup up, is we're going to plug in our gauge and everything on behind it, so we can put it in the gauge cup, and then we won't need to take it out again. Alrighty, so I got my zip ties here. So these are just little tiny ones that we're going to use to keep that hose on. So we get our electrical wires and we take the twisty tie off them. It's a little hard to do with one hand. There we go. Get rid of that. And then we'll just unroll this, like that. Cool. Alright, so we just get a plug and just plug it into there. It will only go on one way. Little pins at the bottom match up with the little slots just there. Let's just put it on. There we go. And then we'll just slide that in like that. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is just going to grab our gauge cup, and we're going to run that wire through the little gap in it, just like that. We're just going to pull it through. So now we've got our vacuum line here, so we're just going to grab that and we're going to slide that onto the back of it. Just look at my end because I took the thing out, sort of seeing if any ends are stretched. No. Okay, we're good. Yep, so what we're going to do is we're going to run this the opposite way through. Okay, so we're going to put that through here and then onto the gauge. There. All sits there nicely. So yeah, now we can mount it up. So all our cords are just there. So now we can put up our pillar again, put that screw back in up there, and then we'll be done up there. So that's all back up now. So now we can connect our electrics. Earth, which is just that there. So I'm just gonna move all these other wires out the way, just so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna get my ratchet with a 10 mil by the looks of it. Yep. So I'm just going to undo that one very gently so I can connect that other bit to it. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get one of these pins, one that's big enough, so probably one of these ones here. So I can slot that in there And yeah, so that's already twisted up there. Focus, see if I can focus on it. No, it's too small to focus on. But just gonna slide that onto the end of the wire, and then I'm gonna crimp it. Okay? I've just slotted that back in, like in behind the bolt, just there, as you can see. So now we're just gonna tighten it up so our earths are reconnected once again. Like that. Perfect. So now we just need to connect our accessory and battery. Alrighty, so as you can see here, I've extended my wires. I didn't have the same colored wires, so just got to remember that gray is white and red is orange. So, and they're pretty close by. So yeah, just wrap them together, tidy, and then put a bit of insulation tape over them just so you they don't arc and come apart, because you don't want that. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna tap into my other gauge wires, which run just up through there, gray and red. Yeah, so I'm gonna cut them and use 2 of these adapters to connect them 2 together. So yeah, stripped all those ones back. So just get my little piece and we're gonna put it on the end of that one, which just shot up and I'm gonna find that, but I'll show you what I mean. To the end of that one. So now we're gonna put that end and that end in this end of the plug together to connect the 2 together. It's now connected down there, and as you can see when we turn the lights on, they both light up. So yeah, now we need to connect it to the accessories switch so we can actually put color into that. Alrighty, so now that we got that all up, we've run the vacuum line down through there. Okay, now we just got to run it out through the firewall. Now I already have a hole because I've got a few wires running in through the firewall. I don't know if you can see, but just up there, that little bit of light comes in. That's where we're going to run our wires, our vacuum line through. That through, we can put our kick panel and side step back on. Just grab the kick panel and slot that back in, and then just make sure the vacuum line runs up with all these other wires. So now that that's all back in, that's all tucked up there, so we can pull that cable the rest of the way through from around on this side. So you just got to take off your air cleaner assembly from there all the way around to there, just so you can access all your vacuum lines in there. This is the one I'm going to try and tap off. Hopefully that works well. I haven't cut anything because one, I don't like cutting vacuum lines in case I need to put it back. So what I do is I just take apart where it comes off, and then I cut the new line and then add extra line in there. Just so I can, if it doesn't work, I can put that back on and find somewhere else to do it. So yeah, continue to pull that through. Okay, we're at the end of it now. So if we look in here, it should be nice and tidy. Just like that. Grab our side cutters and our T-piece. And what we're gonna do is just gonna go to the end of the hose because it is ridiculously long, so we have plenty of room left. And we're just gonna cut about maybe that much off the end, just like that. So yeah, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that on that side, and then we're gonna put it over there, and we're gonna put the end on like that again. So now we're just gonna run our line through, trim it, and then put it on. So the best way to run it would be, hooked on the dipstick, there we go. Best way to run it would be after you come out the firewall, come up underneath the breather for the brake booster, over the top of that, and then just run it down through, and we'll just zip tie it to the brake booster cable and up through there. So yeah, if we just come around through there, we want to have a little bit of slack on it. So yeah, we'll cut it about there. Like that. So now we've got that leftover bit that we don't need. And now we can attach it over here. Alrighty, so now that that's connected, we're going to put our air filter back on briefly, just so we can start it up and double check that everything works. That's all on. We can start her up before we zip tie all that together and just make sure everything works. Tools are out of the way in there. And yeah, let's give it the first start. As you can see, the gauge is operating just how we want. Changes color, you get white, green, red, blue. Yeah, everything works. So yeah, we'll just turn it off, zip tie all that stuff, pack everything up, and then take it for a test run. So I know I said that I'll be using a multimeter in this, but I didn't put into account that I was going to be using the same wires from my other gauge. So I'll just give you a quick run through of how it all works. So you got your red and black wires on it, and then you got this little dial here. So when you want to check the earth of something, if something is an earth, you want to go down to this little bit here, which is continuity. So if you twist that around to there, it'll sit like that. And as you can see, you'll put something on that you know is an earth, it on something that you know is an earth, and the other one on the one that you're trying to see if it is an earth. So when they connect together, you get a reading like that, and then you'll know it's an earth. If you don't get anything, then it's not an earth. And then when you want to check the voltage of something, so say you want to check your light switch, what you want to do is connect it to voltage 20, all right? And then you're going to put this one on an earth, and then this one on the power, the wire that you're checking, all right? And then you're going to want to switch on your lights, and if you get a 12-volt reading when the lights are on, and Nova reading when the lights are off, that's your switch. And then the same thing for power. When you turn your accessories on, if you get power, 12 volts, that's your power. So yeah, it's pretty simple to use. I'm sure there's a lot of other videos on YouTube of how to use a multimeter. But yeah, that's a quick run through of when you're wiring up gauges. Alrighty guys, so we just took it for a test drive and it's working well. But yeah, so I'll just give you a bit of a show of what it looked like. So yeah, that's it there. Sitting nicely with the other one. Looking very nice. Bolted on. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I helped you out a lot. It's the exact same way if you're hooking up for an XR6 turbo, just go to the vacuum line that goes onto the blow-off valve. So yeah, please like, comment any questions, and subscribe, and invite all your friends, and I'll see you guys in my next video.